So my name is Jayan and I'll be starting my work as a postdoctoral researcher. And I just completed my PhD, and I've been in this field for more than 11 years as of now. Usually, I go to the lab with my experiments planned for that day. So I start my day in lab, but sometimes some experiments take more time. So therefore, I will let my experiment run. And while I'm waiting for the experiment to be done, I have my time to read and plan my next experiments or do the calculations for whatever experiment that I'm doing, or even to write, because as a researcher, you need to write all the findings and publish these things eventually. So yeah, my day is spent in lab doing research and in front of a computer, either reading or writing whatever my research findings. I did my experiments using water and polymeric materials. And these materials respond to light. So once you expose these materials to light, they change their properties and their appearance. I developed these materials for various applications. And one example is controlled release fertilizers. You could switch into different areas. For an example, even though I am a chemist and a material scientist, I love working with plants and I love the nature. So because of that reason, I was able to drive my research more towards plants. I was able to spend several semesters working with plants in a greenhouse, studying my fertilizer and applying these fertilizer into plants and studying them. I'll begin with math. When you are planning an experiment, you need to do so many calculations. So for an example, if I'm trying to run a reaction, I need to know how much of this compound that I need, how many moles. We talk about science and technology. Most of these research experiments that I do in the lab, we use so many different methods and instruments. So we use different techniques, like simple techniques such as titrations, things that you learn in late high school and even in college. There's going to be material sciences, but we'll have to engineer these materials to meet the requirement. So there's going to be a little bit of material science, a little bit of chemistry, and a little bit of environmental engineering. Some of the instruments that we use, UV visible spectroscopy, FTIR spectroscopy, starting from these simple instruments to more sophisticated instruments such as rheometer, where we measure mechanical properties of different materials. So I was about 7 years old. I remember the best friend at that time. He used to tell me about these books about great scientists, Galileo Galilei, Thomas Alva Edison, about their findings. So I remember reading these books and think that is the starting point. I started thinking, okay, what if I can become a scientist one day? Things that I read about different scientists, they were stuck in the back of my head. I started college. I felt like I liked chemistry, so I majored in chemistry. After finishing college, I started working as a quality control chemist in a factory that is run 24 hours per day. But after working there, I realized I like the industry, but I would like to learn more. And that is why I decided to apply for grad school. And I moved to United States for my PhD. These books that I read as a kid, that was the foundation for me to become a scientist. I entered college, but in college, I studied several other subjects. I studied a little bit of physics, a little bit of polymer science, but I felt like I'm good at chemistry, and also I like this study area for chemistry. So that is why after the first couple of years, I started taking all the chemistry classes to major in chemistry. And after completing the degree, I wanted to be in touch with the science because, science is evolving all the time with all these discoveries. So I wanted to learn more. So that is why I returned to school from industry to end up as a PhD in chemistry. One of the most interesting things about this, it's a mixture of working with people as well as working with instruments and machines. Being a researcher, you got to work with other researchers, you train other students, and you work with your supervisor. So you have plenty of people around you to work with, but at the same time, you spend hours working with chemicals. So I like this dynamic nature in my field. I think that is part of the reason why I like what I'm doing, because it's not the exact same thing every day. Every day is different. My advice would be you got to believe in yourself. Sometimes you might encounter people who discourage you. That is something that I encountered in my life. When I was trying to finish my undergrad and when I was applying for grad school, some of the professors in my college, they were like, I don't know whether you are good enough to go to grad school and do a PhD. But here I am. I just finished my PhD. It's not an easy journey. I had so many unsuccessful experiments, but sometimes you have to fail to figure out the correct way to succeed. If you like science, you got to continue to study and explore different areas. Don't get disappointed if you don't find what you like. Keep on exploring, keep focusing on your goal. Eventually, you will find where you will fit in.